Hello everybody, my name is Gerone Wright, and once again you're joining me on my YouTube Geronification channel. Okay, in this video I'm back up with another image of the Carina Nebula Paranormal. Okay, and in this video I want to actually show you in detail to you that there are celestial beings in presence in holographic form in a place that they should not be, in celestial masses here in Nebula Gas Matter, which is actually in our solar system. It's my position that if you look closely at what is there, you will see faces, you will see skulls, you will see beings in multidimensional forms. If you look closely, let me show you, for example, nostrils, mouth, chin, eye, facing this way, but they're multidimensional and they're overlaying each other. So when you look at them, all you see is a glob of a mass. It's my position that I can draw these faces out for you and separate them and show you in the order. It's showing you an order of creation. In other words, it's like a motion picture of holographic images that is here in this nebulae mass. And if you look here, like this reddened area, this blob right here, if you take it, you'll see, let me see if I can draw this out for you. You'll see a chin, a mouth, a nose, an eye socket, a forehead, and then you'll see the face transcending on to take on another likeness, the eye socket, the chin area, the mouth there, and then you'll see it become another face. In other words, you'll see a morphing transition of faces coming from one likeness to the next, and it all relates to the creation of our kind and life forms, existence of intelligent life forms. It's my position that these nebulae gas matters are all shown from the Orion Nebula, the Gerone Triangular Emissions Nebula, the Hidden Flame Nebula, the Eagle Nebula, the Crab Nebula. It's my position that these nebulas contain informations and life forms. It's my position that these nebulas are what is described to us and given to us as being called as heaven. It's my position that these places are manipulated masses that were created from our ancestors that have the knowledge to intervene in creation of life, not just in our world, but actually in space as well. It's my position that the celestial alignments of places in our world, with pyramids, with places such as Headstone, with places such as the Balboa, all of these places, Angkor Wat, that have these celestial alignments with places in space. It's my position that these images, these holographic images that appear here, were informations that were sent on from other places and other worlds, and then into places like this. It's my position that Mercury and Mars, which I'm stating were planets, were planets that was before ours, where life forms existed before our world did. Those life forms are now us on our world, and next in line is that of Mars. It's my position that there is a record of not just how mankind was created, but the contributing creatures. And I can link them to the artists and ancient religions of our world, Renaissance artists, artworks, and before that, I can link the same informations that is in Renaissance artwork to what is actually depicted here. I can connect this to everything that is in religion. I can connect this to everything that is in existence. It's my position that that place, that mythical place that they call heaven, is what is being described here. It's my position that the place that is called hell is actually in relations to that of our sun. It's my position that everything that you ever thought was ever taught to believe in, that I can break it down in description on how it fits into puzzle of being here. Let me show you something. I'm going to show you the holographic images that stand out in your face. All you have to do is Google the Carina Nebula Paranormal. Here, there's a half a skull. There's the eye socket of the skull. There's a horned being with the skull on his head, showing you that this being broken out from the skull. What this is showing you, how mankind came. It shows you how mankind's skull, his skeleton, came all together. These are multi-dimensional images. I'm going to give you something else with this. I'm going to give you a close-up of this as well. Here's a close-up of that image, this skull image right here. Now, there's three skulls here. There's the larger one with a reptilian-like chin right here, because there's the mouth. You know what makes up this guy's top lip? There's an image. There's a fish. Then there's an image of a man behind there. You see this? Then the chin. Then in this creature's eye, there's also other celestial beings. Then it's just amazing how this has escaped so many people for so long. This entire image is a holographic image of who you are. Let me show you something. Let me bring this in closer. Here's a red-in image. A darker image. Look at the face, eye socket, nose, and mouth. Look at the face in there, in the eye. This is an eye socket of a skull. There's the forehead, there's the nostril area, and then there's the mouth and the chin. And look at the other beings, right there, that I highlighted for you, that you wouldn't otherwise see. When you look at this mass, this gas matter, people, you don't see this. You only see this because, you know what? When you look at this image, unless you have a multidimensional sense of awareness, which I have, you will not see this. In order to see this, you have to be shown this by the person that is actually directed and actually is in tune with this. This is what our world's artwork is about. The same exact thing. All of our artwork, I don't care whether it's biblical, I don't care whether it's Chinese, I don't care whether it's Cambodian, I don't care what it is, Asian, Egyptian, or whatever. This is what our world's artwork is about. Multidimensional overlayment of each other. It's a multidimensional image, a projectionary of who we are and how we came into existence. This is a readable grail that can be broken down piece by piece by piece to show you who you are. How did I arrive at what I'm doing here today? I'm going to bring this up to you. That image right there. Here it is. How could no one never see that this is a skull? Look, I have a skull, the forehead, the eye socket, going down where the nose and all is supposed to be. How can no one never see it? This is a skull, floating in space. And then look at the multidimensional faces here, the mouth, the chin, the eye. Look at this. Multidimensional faces. Look, here. Faces in faces. I can break them all down and describe them. Look. Nose, mouth. Look at this, people. A projection of faces, of who we are. Look. Not only as you have a skull emerging from a skull, facing a skull, but it's information. Look at the face of this woman. an eye, her forehead, her nose, her mouth, her chin. Look at this face. A projection, a projectionary image of how all of life came to be and where it's at now. I know how this stuff got here, and it doesn't have an happy ending, to be totally honest with you people. The place that you think that you're going to, being that of heaven, this is it. They talk about securing you a future and living forever, or being the kingdom of God and all of this. This is it. Right here, people. The Orion Nebula, looking there, looking the Gerone Triangle Emissions Nebula, looking the Eagle Nebula. All of these locations that are in celestial alignment with our world, I can give you the multidimensional faces and describe to you exactly what is being described. What relations that it has with our world, who had an involvement in putting these places there, and how these emitted gas matters in it. You know what this is? Emitted gas matter and informations from other worlds. Like a transcription of past existences and how they were created. This is a transcribed holographic image from informations that came from our world and previous worlds, which was that of Venus and Mars. It's my position that next in order, not Venus and Mars, Venus and Mercury. It's my position that next in order is Mars. The creatures that we evolved from are all here. Do you want to know how you got your skull? You see the two skulls there, right? Hold on, let me draw this out so you can actually so that there's no mistake in here. Where we at here? You see here this horn on the skull. This is a horn right here coming off the skull. You see that right there? Here's the eye area of that skull, and then we're coming over the head of that piece of skull there, and then this is where the skull breaks off right there, and then you have that horn being up here who has a piece of the skull on his head. Okay, you see that all right there, people? You see that guy right there. There's his eye right there. Here's his chin right here. I'm going to bring this in closer so you can actually see. You see that creature right there? You see that I just highlighted it? You see? And let me give you the back of his neckline so you can see that he's breaking. It shows that he's a part of that skull right there. You see that? I just did the back of his neckline. You see his head right there, right? And then, like I said, here's the other skull, and there's the eye. And look at how almost like the bone, the marrow of the bone, it has almost like a tendon-like structure that shows you. Look, let me bring it back in closer so we can so that there's no mistake in here what I'm actually trying to point out. Look at the tendon-like structure in the right there next to the eye socket there, right here. And then there's other multi-dimensional images in there of beings that I can identify and associate with this. Do you know what this is? You want me to break this down? Now this is in space now. This is the Hubble image from NASA. You want me to tell you what this is describing? Huh, people? I can do it. Look at this face right here next to that. Look at this skull. There's a fish that creates his top lip. Then there's a reptilian man right there behind the fish. What do you think that is stating, that message? This is in space, people. Now, when you Google this image, you can see that. Do you know what this is saying? Through genetic bridging process of our oceanic creatures of our world, which is the fish, an emergence of man came. It's telling you at what times this occurrence occurred and through which creatures were created and secured through the process. This is a recording of what transpired in our world and the worlds before, which I'm telling you was Mercury and Venus. And then over, it's showing you something else. It's showing you a meeting, a bridging between those, between past and the present time of those genetics. So, all right. So how did man get his skeleton? How did these creatures come into existence? Well, people, inside of this are other multidimensional images that show you who you genetically are. Let me show you what is inside of that. You see this image right here, which is the same as right. Let me see if I can do a side by side. Yeah, that looks compelling. Let me put that side by side, like that. You see that skull? You see that face? And this is also Hubble. This is another angle that which NASA released this image. You see that? You see all those little faces in there, people? This information is hard to digest because this is a larger than life image. This is unrealistic. This is not supposed to be in space. So disbelief is definitely with you. Okay? But look, I'm showing you a creature, a celestial creature in space. There's his skull, there's his neckline down here. There's the skull, there's the skull's eye socket right there. And then there's other celestial faces. For those of you that are in disbelief, look inside of the eye, there's ghost-like images of these creatures that are identified and associated with this reptilian skull-like creature. This is a reptilian being. And you know what it's showing you? How this reptilian being was cross-referenced with that of a mammal-like creature. And I just did a video on an artist, which is Gerone, and it's the same exact message that's being relayed in his artistry of how oceanic, fish-like, reptilian beings were cross-referenced with that of our world's mammal-like beings. So, but you're saying, Jerome, all you're showing me then is a skull. How you? I see the reptilian. I get the point about the reptilian being because I see the fish-like lips on the bottom of this skull, the green, and I see the fish. When I Google the image, I see the open-mouthed fish there, and I see this man that looks like a fish. And besides that, people, behind him is another head that has a bubble-like head that looks like our alien-like creatures, those reptile-like beings that they got you looking to space for. Well, all through here shows you oceanic creatures, which calls for the likeness of this overall being, which is right here, which subsequently was bridged over with this creature, which I know to be of that of what we would know as being prehistoric creatures. And it's showing you how the skull was formed for our kind. How was the skull formed for our kind? Well, it's showing you that through the horned being, which we associate with being demonic, the likenesses of our skull came. And when you do me a favor, Google horned beings, and you will see skulls come up where they found. I don't have the picture here for that, but I have a video, okay, where they actually show you that there are actual horned skulls that were found here in I think in Scranton, PA, and at in the basement of an old synagogue or something that was there, and then they sent them to a museum where they disappeared. You know, the familiar story of the disappearance of stuff like that there. You know what I mean? And destruction of it, or they don't know where it's at. You know what I mean? It got lost. You know those stories, right, people? Because our history of our world, or our ancestry, is full of that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? The truth. It always disappears. Well, okay, this can't disappear because this is right here in your face. Now, I have you with a skull. And look at the ghost-like faces in this skull. Huh? Look, I'm gonna draw. I wonder if I can draw that face out for you here. Look, let me see if I can give you. I don't know if I can get that there. They're multi-dimensional faces. There's a chin. There's a bottom lip. There's a mouth. Look, there's a nose. There's a right eye. There's a left eye. There's a forehead. Can you see that face right there? Right here. See that? See that face right there? I'm circling it right now. They go in all different directions. There's a face right there. This is the left eye socket. There's the right eye socket. There's the nose. There's the top lip, open mouth, bottom lip. There's the chin right in here. You see that face? People, this entire look, and then it shows you how morphing faces comes to, and then it shows you a likeness, and there's a female's face right in there. You see that? And then they go in all directions. This is beautiful. Now guess what else is in there? Because I said I was going to promise you something here that I was going to show you about this. Now this is a space image that you can Google. NASA Space Telescope Image. Go there. You cannot see it unless you're shown it. This is my discovery. I've had this online now, I think for almost going on 2.5, 3 years. No one knew this was there. This is a discovery that I made. Look. Look at the witch-like woman here facing this way, and then there's another face facing up that way. You see that? Look, and then here she is again here. Multi-dimensional images, which create an overall message of how these beings came into existence and how, you know what, the genetic bloodlines in motion. Well, alright, I promised you that this horn, you know where this horn being came from? And the skull of mankind came from? Our reptilian-like man, the creature, this creature here, which I said was a skull, actually shows you that he evolved from the oceanic properties of water. This creature here is stating that I was genetically created from the land mammals of our world, which evolved from this creature, and now we came back to genetically bridge ourselves over again. I was saying, well, how in the hell did this guy's really lost it. Alright, let me show you how. These creatures came from the Triceratops and the duck-billed dinosaur and prehistoric creatures, which subsequently calls for the likenesses of our kind. I just showed you that in my last video, in Giorgio video, where that guy is stating the same exact thing in a 15th century painting, if I have it here. In my last video that I just posted just moments ago, here, Giorgio, and this is Tempest. This 15th century artist has inscriptions of a Triceratops, mutations of the Triceratops, the pig, and the hippopotamus there. And then over here is the likeness of an ape at this guy's crotch area. And then there's also a penis. And then I have them highlighted. So let me bring you the highlights. And then I'm going to bring you back to space again. I just put more light on. I hope I didn't blind you out there with this. Hold on. I'm blinding myself out here now. Okay, here. Let me show you something, people. Giorgio, and this is Tempest. This is a 1507 painting. Here, encrypted into the ground, is a Triceratops. There's the tail. Look how the discoloration matches perfectly the body of a Triceratops with the tail and all. These are, I mean, I'd put the highlights on the line, but look at this, people. This is the artist coloring. This is the coloring. Look, this is without, and look at the tail. I can see it from here. You see that? The body, and then the tree limb that comes off from over here shows you it's a branching over of genetics with that of mankind, and it shows you where the tree limb actually cleverly creates those arch-like things of the skull of the that I forgot what you call that of the Triceratops, that that bone structure that creates those arches on his on his armor. It's like an armor. That's what it is. It's like an armor. The head of the Triceratops and the snout goes down. Let me come back over here to my highlights again. Now check this out because I have them highlighted here. Shows you the creature that evolved after that. And then it shows you the pig-like creature and the hippo-like creature. Then there's a horse there that's encrypted. And then in the crouch of this man's pants right here, there's the image of an ape, and then it has a penis right there. So if you Google this image, everything that I just told you, you'll find. But what's amazing is that it shows you that there is a genetic bridging with land creatures, prehistoric creatures, and that of our water-like creatures, and encrypted in the water is a super croc, meaning not just a regular croc, the ancient crocodile that was supposed to have been larger than life, the mega croc, the super croc, I like to call it. And you would not know that that croc was in the water because it looks just like a discombobulated figure until I just told you that it was there, and with my highlights I placed it in there because you know why? Ancient creatures of our world, which makes for perfect sense, people, or which created or calls for the creation of mankind. It shows you through the water elements of our world and the land elements of the world, the prehistoric elements of both, came man. And through a sequence of genetic bridgings, what this is representing, bridging from one side to the next, with white and of our black origins, or closer to our black origins. That's why the ape is there. They didn't put a black man there. They just put a person that is in likeness and close proximity to being that of ape and African, and that's what the ape is representing, that his crotch and his pants. This is the encryption style that George Quintet's artists use as well too. All right, with a matador and then the croc and all of that. Shows you that there is, from the old building blocks of mankind, new building blocks were set in place. And there's the founding stone. Well, actually, here's the building blocks reshaped, and new genetics were created. And these cylindrical type objects create these new genes. Now, here's a Triceratops in this 15th century artist painting that should not be there. Now, I can do this with practically every famous artist of our world. This is the same message that is being stated with the Triceratops appearing in the column post of that of Angkor Wat, and they're trying to figure out what got there. And those dinosaurs that are on the burial stone, the Peruvian burial stones of Peru, and those dinosaurs that appear in ancient cave art globally are stating the same exact thing. This is why these ancient dinosaurs are appearing with man, but yet we are supposed to not have no history with them. Of course, we did not roam them with the dinosaurs, but you know what? It's stating that what our ancestors are telling us is that we genetically evolved from these creatures, and through which genetic process from which we evolved, and then they're showing you a continued circulation process where every 400 to 500 years this process can be reintervened and changed again, which gets us from these likenesses, which is that of our closeness and proximity to our ape and African ancestor, to changing to likenesses of our white counterparts. And this is where the blue eyes, the blonde hair, and the red hair, and the brunette hair, and all of these changes, these dramatic changes from the ape, these forms come. Now, let's go back to space. The faces are become much clearer now that I can break them down and show you and describe them to you in that way, huh? Okay. So, the skull was given to us through our Triceratops and our... See the faces now, they start to come into and start looking more clear now? You see that? Like seeing faces in the clouds. You know why this looks all discombobulated? Like the broken skull and all of that. So I just told you in Gerione's painting, his 15th century painting, where he had a Triceratops. So, not to mention the fact that there's not supposed to be Triceratopses in no artist painting, because that artist is not supposed to know of this information in his time. This information is not privileged to scientists today. So what in the world is going on? Well, I'm not a scientist. This skull, this message board in space, in the Carina Nebula Paranormal, is telling us that our skull was given to us through prehistoric creatures of our world. Which creatures? This is the same. What's in here? This is it. There's that. You see that skull right there? You see the skull right there, people? You see the human-like figures and all of that there? You see that? What? Here's that half a skull right here. There it is right there. There's the eye and there's the horn off of it. You know what that skull is telling you? Through the Triceratops, which is right there. There's the snout of the Triceratops. There's the nose. There's the Triceratops eye. There's that horn figurehead right there. And the likeness is, there's the Triceratops there. And the other creature that's next to it is the duck-billed dinosaur. There's the duck-bill. There's the dinosaur. There's the horn. Came the horn being the horn version of man, which is this creature right there. You can't see him here because he's cut off cleverly. I guess NASA cut him off on this image here, this Hubble image. But he's showing here. And this is where our horned beings came from in the history of our ancestry. This is how we got our skulls, from that of the Triceratops and the prehistoric creatures of our world. And then through another sequence of genetic bridgings with other creatures. This is the duck-billed dinosaur. Look, check this out. I'm going to give you the story. Mankind got his skull and his horns from the Triceratops, and the duck-billed dinosaur came the horned beings of our world, our ancestors, and then through a continued genetic bridging process with creatures that are in unison with that, or into with the duck-billed dinosaur is the horse. You see that horse right there, piercing the butt cheeks of that clouded figure of man right there? And fish, you see the great white? And then the baboon figure, which represents monkey, our ape and African ancestor. There was a change. And the image of man emerged, which is in that clouded figure. Now, do you know where this image is at right here? This image right here of this guy, you see this guy right here? Facing out that way with his arm outstretched. This is his left arm outstretched. This is his torso. Then this is the right arm raised up with a thing in his arm, and then he's wearing that skull. This image appears in Sistine Chapel, created by, I think, Michelangelo and the three artists. Is that the same image? But here it is in space. You want to know where it appears at here in space? Now this is a close-up. You want to know where that image is at? You see it? You can't see it there, can you? They're multidimensional images. This is in the Sistine Chapel, which is a readable blueprint, just like that those paintings in the Sistine Chapel are almost consistent to what is actually being shown here. This guy right here, right there, you want to know where he appears at in space? Let me go back this way over here. He appears right here. His head is right there. That outstretched arm is right here. The helmet is he wearing is right there. His buttock is right there. And the horse nose that is piercing his buttocks is right in here, which shows you a genetic bridging over. Now remember the fish that is right there on his lip there? Then I have the great white, which is actually right there. And then there's the man right there. That's all of this that is right here. This is in space, people. Multi-dimensional images in space. Now check this out. This is stuff that you can Google. Google the Carina Nebula Paranormal. And until I actually showed you, when you looked at that image, all you saw was just this. Or something close to that. Just like this. You cannot see these images because your eyes are not trained to see them. But when you start looking for them, now that I expose this, this is the way that you will see this forever, thanks to me. I can read the entire mass. I can show you and describe to you how life came from Venus, how life came from Mercury, where life came from on Earth, where life is going on Earth, and how life forms are continuously being genetically manipulated, and how religion is not what you really believe it is. Now, I'm not the first person to say that. The Knights Templar said that, and was threatening to expose religion for what it really was before they were disbanded and they were killed, because I guess they didn't have the technology that I had. They were trying to ride around on horses to expose the popes and the kings and queens for what was going on. But here, thanks to the internet, YouTube, and alien UFOs, which I'm actually a member of, I think I'm almost up to 127,000 views there, and I'm over I just went over 50,000 here. I'm able, at a push of a send button, be global. There's no returning from this. This is the truth, people. You need to wake up and realize what is the true cause for your existence. Now, this is nothing. This is nothing. I know how this got here. I have it upside down, though, right now. I know how this all got here. A woman in space, a redhead woman, mind you, too. There's her face, a star creates her earring, there's her bosom, and her evening gown is made of celestial gas matter. Check it out. A redhead woman. Reminds me of Mary Magdalene. Here, let me take this. Let me lift this up so you can see. And I have a video on this as well, too, people. She's right there. If you can only see her in a reduced resolution. If you try to bring it in close, her face disappears. But here you can see, this is her bosom area with the creature at her neckline. Here's the clouds. The cloud matter creates her evening dress, her waistline. Her outstretched arms is coming over top of what? No other than the face of that of an ape creature. And there's multiple dimensional ape creatures in here. This just happens to be the teeth, the mouth, and all that. Look at this, people. The googly eyes. Look at this. And then the other arm is outstretched. There's a horse there. And then if you turn it upside down, there's a horn being like an ox or a ram. Multidimensional images. I can show you upwards of about 50 different multidimensional images just within the one with this woman. I can show you what she's emerging out of. I can show you skulls there. It's a readable grail in space of who we are. I'm convinced that I am the only one on this planet that can describe to you in full detail what this all represents. This is why I can do these videos and give this to you. You probably say, well, damn, you can write a book and be a millionaire about them. It's not about that at this point. It's about all that I went through to get to understanding, and I had to go through a transformation just to be able to see this stuff. If you want to know my story, go on Alien UFOs and see how I evolved. I was seeing things on little rocks and faces on rocks, and I was going through a process of where I had to almost like lose my mind in order to bring this to you. And I survived. And here I am with the greatest reward of all. The truth to everything. I can tell you, I can prophesize how our world will end. I can prophesize to you where it would go. I can tell you everything that is going on. And like I said, including how this got here. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel. It's my position that when you Google the Carina Nebula Paranormal, now that I've shown you this, I have a video on this too, by the way, people, that this reptilian being, i.e. Reptilian, i.e. angel, i.e. Alien, these beings were our ancestors, which calls for the later likenesses of these beings, which were genetically bridged over land creatures. And it's my position that the entire story is right there, not just in space, in multidimensional images that I can show you. Now this is better than a Picasso painting or a Rembrandt painting that have their encryptions of this. People, how in the hell from the center of here, just the center of here, just this little portion, I can bring you all of this. The horn being incorporated in with the Triceratops. There's the Triceratops eye. There's the Triceratops nose. And then the mouth. And then cut into that the horn of a duck-billed dinosaur here, which we all know transforms into the horse there, and it shows you interventions with mankind all over again. And then the skull. How can I sit there and tell you that the skeletal formation of mankind came from these creatures? You know how? Through my paranormal experience and encounter, which is genuine, I can read into this information. Not this did I go through it paranormally, but what I went through, the metamorphosis that I went through mentally, which allowed me to come to this. First, I understood it in my mind and could see it and could feel it and could sense it. My connection to this, which allowed for me to have the multidimensional sense of awareness to see it, to be drawn to it once I've been seeing these photos, and then separate them to show you how you got your skull. And that's what that is stating. This is showing you how mankind got a skull. And if you look closely, you will see foreheads, eyes, noses, mouths, and chins in all different directions. And then images of female from their witch-like state to the states that we know, demonic images, all of that from this. So it's my position that not as just this is there, but all of this in just that one location. And it's a message board on how we came to be. In this point, it's more than just that, because there's more that came before then, and before then, and then before then. So, if I can read this, let me just slow down for a minute. If I can give you this, and from that describe to you this, and then from there break down the creatures that are in there and describe to you, this is the reason why that half skull is there, people. The half skull is there. See the duck-billed dinosaur right there? Right here? The half skull is there because it's showing you how the skull came to in the first place. This creature right here, the duck-billed dinosaur and the Triceratops. These multi-dimensional images in space. Now, I gave you that woman. I have this here. Let me just show you right quick, because I love this woman, because in fact, it's amazing, because I actually, you see the woman there? I have her drawn out here. Let me show you some of the things that are actually there from what I can do. You see her right there, right? outstretched arm, her bosom, her neck, and all of that. Here she is right here. Where's she at? Oh, there she goes up. Roger, all that. I put her chin in it. You see that right there? Her blown out hair. Well, if you look closely, there's another creature that comes off there. Oh, God. I gotta turn that off. Let me shut that down for a minute. Should I shut? I'm gonna show you something. Let me. I'm gonna make sure I shut that off. So we don't get a call back. Power off. Okay. Alright, that's powered off. Now, you see her there? Remember I told you her outstretched arms and all of that was going on? Now, this is a readable grail too. Now, there's her bosom. This is where her left breast is. This is her right breast. And this is all cloud matter. And there's her chin, her mouth, and her blown back red hair. On the end of her hair over here, there's an ape-like creature. Not just any ape-like creature. It's a green ape-like creature. Reminds me of like the hawk-like creature that we see in mythical beings and all, right? And then we have a bunch of other creatures that are actually shown encrypting off of there. There's the skull. Look, you see these creatures here? These multidimensional faces right there? This is what you can expect. A readable grail that is in that celestial mass. Now check this out. There is a celestial body that is here. This entire, like, and within a body. I know what her body is emerging out of. That calls for these likenesses and these existences of these beings. Now this is just a smaller portion of what is over here. Now check this out. That's just a smaller portion of what is here. So it's my position. I know what this celestial body here is and what she is describing. Now, how about if I told you that I even know her name? I know who this woman is. Now, that, people, is amazing. Now, this is in space. And it's my position that these descriptions that are being described in here is what's being referenced in your books. In your religious books of our world is being described as places of that of heaven. Now, the reason why these descriptions from these different civilizations of people are being in different description of being called heaven, and what is actually being there, is because each one of these celestial masses in space, whether it's the Orion Nebula, the Gerone Triangle Emissions Nebula, the Crab Nebula, or any other far-out distance nebula that they're describing, these galaxies, these celestial masses are described based on the informations that were sent to these locations in the form of emitted matter that I know how it got there, how it transcended there. Amazing story, huh? Now, I want to tell you that I don't have no scientific knowledge whatsoever. I'm telling you that through my genuine paranormal experience and encounter, I am speaking. I sucked miserably at science in school. I had no interest whatsoever in science in school. And it's my position that I am only here giving you this information through something that has happened to me, that has transformed me into understanding what is actually there. Now, again, all you have to do is Google Carina Nebula Paranormal or Hubble spacecraft images and go down to you'll come across this image, the Carina Nebula Paranormal, and see that this is not no Photoshop. This is not no trick. This is a government released image. And see the skulls that I showed you. See the image of the woman that I showed you. And then go in here and look at the faces. There was another face that I actually seen in here. I want you to go and look at. And go and look at the mouth, the lips. Look at the fish right there. You even see, you see the lips of this being right here? Go right here, because you know how the fish looks, right? You'll see the bottle-like face of the fish, and then you'll see the fish mouth open, and then you'll see the lips of the fish separating the lines and all of that. You see the defining features of the fish, and then you'll see that it's hooked to this reptilian-like being, the miniature version of this reptilian-like being. And then I have other images in circulation that is online, because you know what this also is? A skull. You ever see the skulls that we have? And I think it represents death in the military, where you have a skull with wings out of it. Well, this guy, this horned being, has wings that's emerging from there. You know what he's showing you? That his left wing comes over this skull and comes down, and the bottom portion of it sticks out down here. That's one wing. And then his this is his left wing that wraps around the skull and comes down, and then his right wing comes up above this guy. You know what he's showing you? That he's bridged between reptile and mammal, which represents oceanic and land, and it's showing you the genetic process from which, at this point, his existence became, and what he did to further manipulate the process, and the creations that subsequently resulted from that. And this is all in space. And it all is directly linked to our world's famous artists, our world's ancient religion. And the buildings of Angkor Wat, the ancient buildings of Angkor Wat, the ancient Egypt, glyphs, all of it is telling us the same thing. Play back in your mind in the Egyptian glyphs. Everything that I'm showing you here with these animals, with these creatures, with these mutations, are already in glyphs. Half bird, half animal, half horse, half man. Was our ancestors that stupid that they didn't take reality as they perceived it to be, something that they genetically experienced, and left us an actual and factual record of it, not a mythical as people want us to believe? And if it was so mythical, why is Rembrandt? Why is Michelangelo? Why is Bernini? Why is Picasso? Why are these famous artists going through such lengths to encrypt their artwork with the factual information of how we came into existence? This is the stuff that is actually in Egyptian glyphs, showing you green monkeys, reptilian monkeys, serpents. I like to tell you that, again, I want you to keep in mind that the entire art collection of our world during this time, in this era, was oversaw by the clergy, meaning the popes. You could not release paintings like this. And in fact, these same encryption styles, if you want to believe that they're not involved, and they can't be, the same encryption styles are what is actually in our ancient biblical references in the text. In fact, hold it. This is not just restricted to paintings and images and underlying images. The relating text and everything ancient, biblical, and historical is directly linked to this. In fact, when you look at it in the sense that I am giving it to you, that this is all referencing genetic manipulation and genetic bridging and genetic contamination of nations during that time and in this time, then all of a sudden you can read these books and these ancient texts, whether they're biblical or historical, and now all of a sudden they make sense to you. You know why? Because it's referencing the genetic altering of our kind. these bizarre images that make no sense. What is this woman doing out here getting her breast sucked by a baby? This guy over here, and look, nude on a cloth with her ass out. And this guy walking past, and look, and these cylindrical objects here, which represents the founding building blocks of mankind's genetics, and a crocodile, a super croc, in the water right there, and then all of these encrypted animals down there. What in the hell do this mean other than what I just stated? And then I can take you in space and give it to you as well. I can read through my paranormal experience, not just that, not just the likenesses of our artworks and artists' creations. I can tell you what is happening now in our world. I can tell you what is happening in space. I can tell you the cause for the existence of space. I can tell you everything and anything that you need to know about what is happening to us. Why? I can give you hell. I can deliver to you hell. I can deliver to you heaven. I can show you and describe to you all places. I can take you there and show you these places. I can bring those places to you right here on your computer screen, because I know what they are and I know what they mean. I can bring you aliens. I can bring you everything that you need to know and understand. I can tell you what angels are. Through my multidimensional sense of awareness and my multidimensional sense of being and understanding, I bring you faces from space that you knew not were there until I described them to you. NASA didn't know this was here. Do you think that NASA would place this up here if they knew that that was there? If they would put this online? They could not see it. Now, I'm going to say something to you. Our world might be described as being one of these little dots compared to this mass. Our world might be something in the scripts of, you see her earring, which is a star in the background there, that creates her star in this holographic image. You see that earring for her star? There's her red hair and her chin that creates this woman. So you tell me, what survival chances that we have against this outside of our world? Tell me. What survival chances against this? What do God have to do with this? And better yet, why is Gerone Wright the one telling you about this? Why is not your religious leaders, with ancient rooted religious roots, not telling you about this? Why is not the ancient rooted royalty of our world not telling you about this? Why are not the artists that are encrypting this stuff in their paintings not telling you about this? Why is Gerone Wright the one telling you about this? You have had people sacrifice their lives trying to understand the works of Rembrandt, the works of Michelangelo, and the works of Bernini, and the works of Leonardo da Vinci, but yet I can walk over top of all of their work as if I created it. Why am I the one that is bringing you all of this? You know why? Because I have a true, genuine paranormal experience that helps me understand that this is not about religion. This is not about art. This is about a record of how mankind got from his ape-like state, even to his ape-like state, to becoming where he's at today. It shows you a record of how mankind was genetically created, genetically altered, the creatures that genetically contributed to the process, and what is going on today to continue the process, the furtheration of that process. And then it's not just here in our world. It's showing you how they're securing places beyond our world. And this is why you see those famous biblical paintings and other people where they're pointing up, securing their place. You see they're pointing up beyond our world. And you see others flying back into, like Superman. You know what they're telling you? Those little balls of fire and all that, and what's going on? I'll save that for another video. I know the truth, people, and it has nothing to do with what you think it is. Reality, though, reality is this. And you have no fear of these demonic-like beings and all of that. I can show you godly-like faces, too. I can take you to the Orion Nebula and give you the faces that you recognize as being like God and Jesus and all of that. These are our ancestors. These nebulae masses in space represents an evolutionary period, a chain of events, of beings that existed, because I have proof of it. These beings existed. And just like we evolved, it shows that through each nebulae mass, these beings secured their place in a future place in the intergalactic space. Let me put that in a better way. In our intergalactic surroundings. So when this mass forms as a star, the genetic informations, when this mass solidifies, these beings will have a place in space. And this thing takes off as a shooting star and hits another world, or lands somewhere as a meteorite, or seeds of life. This is how they're securing their place. I know the full and complete story behind all of this, behind the other nebulae masses. I know the story behind our sun. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel. Thank you.